Hi everyone. So let's understand one of the most important topics for class 10th and even for ninth. So which is direct and indirect speech. And in this small PPT, I have tried to cover all the rules that you need to learn while attempting questions from direct and indirect speech. So before starting this, we need to actually understand what is the meaning of a reported speech. Like why are we actually learning about direct and indirect speech? So a reported speech is nothing but a sentence spoken by some other person, right? Reported speech is a term that we use when telling someone what another person said. Now, if I say Rita said she had to go to school, so that means I am telling what Rita had to say. So reported speech is like telling somebody what the other person had said, quoting the words of the other person. Now, in reported speech also, there are two kinds of reported speech that we can use. Number one is direct speech and the other is indirect speech. That is how we get these two terms from the reported speech. Now, what is direct speech? A direct speech sentence mentions the exact words the other person said. So whatever the words of the other person are, they will be exactly quoted in the direct speech. As an example, Chris said, "These are all my necklaces." So these are all my necklaces. This is one sentence which is spoken by Chris. So here, these are all my necklaces is the direct statement, direct speech said by Chris, which is known as direct speech. Now, what will be indirect? If I say what Chris said, if I tell that same thing in my words, then it will be indirect. For example, indirect speech changes the original speaker's word. Chris said those were all her necklaces. Now you understand the difference. When a sentence is spoken in the language of the second person, like whatever the second person has said, if it is spoken in the same way, then it is called a direct speech. And if it is said in my terms, or if it is, changed into the owner's or the narrator's term, then it is known as indirect. Now let's understand more about direct speech. The exact same words are quoted using direct speech. When writing in direct speech, we enclose. Enclose here means we close the said words in quotation marks. So you can see in the previous example, Chris said, "These are all my necklaces." Now you see this sentence starting from these and ending till necklaces has been enclosed in the inverted commas. So always remember, direct speech is always enclosed with inverted commas and leave them alone. We might be writing in inverted commas what is being said, for instance, during a phone call or subsequently inquiring about a past conversation. So now here what they say, direct speech can be anything. Maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's, inquiring about a product or inquiring about a conversation, etc. Now let us see some examples. Rohan said, "There is a dog inside the house." Now, if I ask you, what is the line, "There is a dog inside the house" is? So you can say, "Ma'am, it's a direct speech," because it is what Rohan said. These are the exact words that Rohan quoted. So "there is a dog inside the house" is a direct speech. Again, they said, "We will go to the party." So here, "we will go to the party" is direct speech. She said, "I don't know." Even here, a small sentence like "I don't know" is a direct speech. Now, again, direct speech is further divided into reported and reporting verb and reporting speech. Now, let's understand first what is reporting verb. Reporting verb, direct speech has two parts. The first part of the sentence is known as reporting verb, as it tells about the person who is speaking. Now, the first part of the sentence, if I'll show you by an example, the very first part of the sentence is a reporting verb and it actually shows who the speaker is, who's speaking. You get to know through that verb. As an example, if you say, "He says, I have done my work." Now, "I have done my work" is already a reporting speech, indirect speech. But what is "he says"? Says here is a verb, right? So "he says" altogether will be a reporting verb because now we get to know who is the person who's speaking. Similarly, the teacher says the earth is round. So here the reporting verb will be the teacher says. In the above two sentences, the first part is reporting verb, like I told you. In the first sentence, "he says" is reporting verb. And in the second sentence, "the teacher says" is the reporting verb. Now let's understand about reporting speech. The second part of the sentence or the words which is actually said by the speaker is known as reporting speech. So you should always remember that if there is a sentence, so the first small part in which there is a verb that will be called as a reporting verb, and the remaining part of the sentence would be called as a reporting speech. Now let's see an example. "He says, I have done my work." Now he says here is the reporting verb, and I have done my verb is the reporting speech. Similarly, the teacher says the earth is round. So the teacher says here is the reporting verb, and the earth is round is the reporting speech. In the above two sentences, the second part is reporting speech, which is enclosed in inverted commas. In the first sentence, I have done my work is reported speech, and in the second sentence, the earth is round is reported speech. Now we will start understanding the rules because now we'll have to change the sentences from direct to indirect sentences. So first we have understood what is a reporting verb, then what is a reporting speech. Now we will understand how to change the direct sentences from the indirect to the indirect sentences, and there are certain rules. So number one rule that you should always remember is when you are changing any sentence from direct to indirect, you have to remove the inverted commas after the reporting verb and use that as an example. Remove inverted commas and use that. While changing direct speech into indirect speech, remove inverted commas. Okay, now for example, if I say Rahul says, comma, inverted comma, there are 8 planets. Now this is a direct speech. Why it is a direct speech? Because this is what exactly Rahul quoted. Rahul said. Okay, so we have not changed the sentence. It is the exact word which Rahul said. So this is going to be a direct speech. But now we need to change it into indirect. So what is the first rule? Wherever you see a comma and wherever you see inverted comma, you have to remove both and use that. So how this will be converted into the indirect sentence? Rahul says that. So we have added that in place of that comma, and we will again copy the same sentence as there are 8 planets. So this is a very easy rule. Whenever you have to change any sentence, it's a basic rule. From direct to indirect, you have to use that in place of comma or inverted commas. As in the above sentence, inverted commas are removed in indirect speech and conjunction that is used. Now, rule two. Many a times we do not change the tenses. Now, in the first sentence, if you see, there are 8 planets. It is present tense. So when we have changed it into the indirect, the tense was same. We did not use the past tense here. So there are 8 planets. In the indirect speech also we use there are 8 planets. Now we will understand why we did not change this tense. But at times when you change from direct to indirect, you are supposed to change the tenses also. But in certain conditions, we do not change the tenses. Now we will understand what are those conditions. Number one, if the reported speech, the part of the sentence which is inside inverted commas, is habitual action or universal truth. Now, if you see in the previous example, there are 8 planets. This is the reporting speech. So, what does this say? That if the reporting speech has a sentence which is a universal truth or a habitual action, then in that case, we will use that, which is a common rule, but we will not change the tense. For example, my teacher says the earth is round. The earth is round is a reported speech here, and it is a habitual, it is a universal truth. So when we will convert it into the indirect, what we will use? First of all, we will remove the inverted commas and use that, and we will copy the exact sentence like this. My teacher says that the earth is round. So in the above sentence, reporting verb is in the present tense, so it will not change into the past. And reported speech is also a universal truth that cannot be changed. One more thing that you need to remember is whenever in the reporting verb, the tense is a past tense. My teacher says. Says here is in the present. So whenever the reporting verb is present and in the reporting speech, there is a universal truth or a habitual action, then there will be no change except that you will use the conjunction that. Now we will understand what are the rules, what are the sentences in which there will be a change in the tense. When the reporting verb is in the past tense, then reported speech will be changed into the past tense. Now it's a very simple thing. It's like an agreement. If the reporting verb is in the past, then the reporting speech will also be changed into the past. For example, she said, I will go. Now if you see said here, said, she said is a reporting verb here, but the verb is in the past tense. Say is present, says is present, but said is past. So when we will convert this direct into the indirect, what will we use? Number one, we will use conjunction that, which is understood, but we will change will into would. So whenever there is a past tense in the reporting verb, the reporting speech will also be converted into the past tense. She would go. As in the above sentence, reporting verb is in the past tense. So we have converted reported speech into past tense and indirect speech. That means we have converted from will to would. Now, I have made a small table here so that you always remember, like this is, you can just mug up also if you want. You should remember, if the reported verb is in simple present, then the reported speech will be in the simple past. If it is in the present continuous, then the sentence will change into past continuous. If it is in the present perfect, then the second part of the sentence will change into the past perfect. If it is present perfect continuous, then it will be past perfect continuous. If it is simple past, then the next part of the sentence will be past perfect. So this table is nothing but the first column of the table shows if the verb is in the simple present, present continuous, present perfect continuous. So the next part of the sentence, which is a reporting speech, this is how the transitioning of the sentence will take place. In the previous example, I told you that if the verb is in the simple present, simple past, so it will also change into the past. So these are another examples that you can see which the transitioning of the sentence will take place, and you should be very careful while doing this. If you see the last fourth row of this, it is mentioned will change into would. And it is exactly what we did in the previous example. Instead of writing I will go, we change it into she would go. So this is how you will remember how the verb in the reporting verb will change into the reporting speech. Now, rule number 4, which is again very important. Sometimes we have to understand how do we change the pronouns. The pronoun or subject of the reporting speech is changed according to the subject or pronoun of the reporting verb. That is the first part of the sentence. So, suppose it is said, I said. So, instead of I, what will we use in the indirect speech? Will it be he? Will it be she? Will it be they? Now, that totally depends on the subject or the pronoun which is used in the reporting verb. Now, let's see how. Direct to indirect speech example where we have to change the pronoun. So he said, I eat an apple. Now he said is a reporting verb here. And what is the pronoun used here? Which is he. And now reporting speech is I eat an apple. So now when we have to change this reporting speech, number one thing that we will do is we will use the conjunction that as discussed. Number two, we will check what is the tense in the sentence. It is in the past tense, he said. So the next sentence will also be in the past. So first of all, we will change eat into ate. These two rules you have already learned. Number one is to remove the inverted commas and use that. Number two is to see if the tense is in past tense. We will change the next sentence also in the past tense. So we will include eat. We will not include eat here. We will change eat into ate. Now, how did we change I into he? The question is, how did we change I into he? Because if you see in the reporting word, the pronoun was he. So next rule is whatever the pronoun will be used in the reporting verb, the same pronoun will be used in the reporting speech. In the above example, I is changed into he according to the reporting verb, which is the first part, and tense is also changed because reporting verb is in the past tense. Now, change in time, very, very important. This is one table that you can remember. If the word related to time is given in the sentence, then it will be changed in. Now, for example, if in the reporting verb it is written today, then in the reporting speech it would be that day. If it is tomorrow, then it will be next day. If it is yesterday, then the sentence would change into the previous day. If it is now, then the next sentence would be then. If it is tonight, then it will be that night. If it is yesterday night, then it will be previous night, then tomorrow night, following night, here and there. Now, another rule, which is no conjunction. Sometimes we don't even use a conjunction. And what conjunction are we talking about here? It is that. No conjunction is used if a sentence in direct speech starts with a question. Now, if in the direct speech you have a WH question, so you will not use that. Now, how? Where are you going? Asked the boy. Okay, now where are you going is a reported speech here and it starts from WH. So, how will you convert this into the indirect? The boy asked where I was going. Simple. So, you did not use that here. Instead of that, you simply included where are you going instead of using where are you going, because if we say where are you going, that means these are the same words that the boy has quoted. So, it cannot be indirect speech. It will be direct speech because direct speech is always what the narrator or what the person says, but we have to change it into our sentence. So we'll say the boy asked where I was going. While changing the interrogative sentence into indirect speech, remove the question mark. This is also important. Where are you going? After that, we have used a question mark because here it is a question being asked. But when we will convert this question into the indirect speech, we will remove the interrogative mark. Now, yes, no interrogative sentences, which is rule number 7. If a direct speech sentence starts with an auxiliary verb or helping verb, the joining clause will be changed into if or whether. Here, joining clause is nothing but again that. So, if the direct speech starts from a verb, which is a helping verb or an auxiliary verb, then when you are transitioning that sentence into indirect speech, you will not use that, you will not use any other thing, only you will use if or whether. For example, he asked me, do you come with me? Now, do here is an helping verb. So, do you come with me? So, we will not use he asked me that, do you come with me? Or you will not use anything. You will use it as he asked me if I am coming with him, or he asked me whether I'm coming with him. Here I have used inquired. It is up to you. If you want to use inquired, then also it's good. Otherwise, you can simply use asked. It will not be wrong. Now, rule number 8. There are 4 kind of sentences where you will see a request sentence, a command sentence, a wish sentence, and the inquired, like the previous one we have done. Some verbs such as requested, ordered, urged, and advised are used in indirect speech. For the negative statements, the word forbidden is used. As a result, in indirect communication, the imperative mode that is present in direct speech is replaced with the infinitive word. Direct to indirect speech, she said to her, please do this work. Now it is very, very simple. Understand it. Whenever we use please, when we are making a request, please help me out with the work, please give me a glass of water, please do not talk, please study hard. So they only want to say that if you see that a sentence has a command, the sentence has a wish, the sentence is an inquire. So instead of the reporting verb, you should use such phrases. For example, she said to her, please. Now you know that please is a kind of request. So how can you convert this into indirect? She requested her because it's clearly mentioned please. If it was she said to her, open the door. Now open the door is like a command. So it could have been she commanded her to open the door. Now number 1 is whenever you see any such kind of thing, you will change the phrase into either request or command or wish or an inquiry. And we always use this infinitive to when you are converting. Here also we will not use that, whether, if. We will simply join the two part of the sentences using to. Now the last rule, which is interjection words are removed from exclamatory sentences that express grief, sorrow, delight, or applaud. Exclamatory sentences, when you show yourself there is something sudden flow of expressions. So that sentence is transformed into an assertive sentence. Assertive sentence is nothing but the positive sentences. Let us understand through this with an example. Student said, hurrah, India has won the match. Now, what do you say? Hurrah is an exclamatory word here. Now, according to this rule, what happens is whenever you see there is an exclamatory sentence, so you try to change the reporting verb into that ways. For example, you can write it like this: students exclaimed with joy that India had won the match. Right now, one thing more you have to understand here. One change which we have done is we have converted has into had. And why it has happened? Because this reporting verb said is in past. If it would have been says or say, then the same exact sentence would have been copied. But because it is said here, which is in past, so we have changed it into, again, the reporting speech into the past. So whenever you find an exclamatory sentence, you can just change it with exclaimed with joy or exclaimed with sorrow, exclaimed with delight, depending on the nature of the indirect speech. So these were 9 common rules which were very important when you're solving out. And I think if you understand these 9 rules properly, it will be sufficient enough for you to understand what direct and indirect speech is. So I hope you had enjoyed this PPT properly, and let's hope that you understand it clearly. Thank you.